Cool. All right, we are live. This is the Community Engineering, Magento Community Engineering Hangout. This is MSI specific. We are going to have a great evening or morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone. And we've got some great topics to talk through about MSI. And we've got some actual real live as in you can use them and buy stuff from them, demos for MSI. And we've got a lot of our contributors here to get their opinions and their kind of feedback and what are the next steps as well for MSI. But before we start that, and I don't want to take up too much time because it is about MSI today, but I thought I would just highlight some of the stats from last month in community engineering. Last month, as you know, we had our Squashtoberfest, which happens every year. And the challenge this year was 5 pull requests or 10 issues or a combination of both. And then in the end, you would get a special Squashtoberfest t-shirt. And I'm happy to announce that we have 37 people who I've been contacting in the last couple of weeks to try and get the information about where to send those t-shirts to and that sort of stuff. But these people will be getting Squashtoberfest t-shirts. And yeah, we thank you so much for getting involved and taking your time to contribute and make Magento healthier and a better place. Over the whole month, we had 796 pull requests created across all our repositories, which is fantastic. And that was from 235 contributors. Those stats are staggering, and I still struggle to contemplate how many people and how many pull requests that is. It's pretty amazing. And one of the big things, one of the big projects we've been running for a while now is MSI. And because it is on its way, pretty close, it's in release candidates at the moment, I believe. Igor will correct me later on about this. But we thought we'd get everyone together that's been involved in the project, or a few of the people that have been involved in the project, share their experience, give you a few tips and tricks if you want to start using and getting involved in the MSI project. Yeah, so we've gathered quite a few people here. So let's have first a quick round of introductions. So I'll start with myself. My name is David, and I have nothing to do with MSI. I will take no credit. But I am involved with community engineering. So if you are interested in getting started with contribution, feel free to reach out to me in Slack or in over Twitter, and I will do my best to help you out and get you involved with contribution. Next person I'd love to introduce, or for them to introduce themselves, is Igor, the world famous Igor.
Hello, I'm Igor. I'm also part of community engineering team, and I also nothing have to deal with MSI. I just wanted to not interfere to all these guys who made it like enormous contribution and make that happen, so that we are releasing MSI on 2.3.0.
Nice. Who do you have there with you? Someone sat next to you. Come on.
Yep, that's
hello everybody.
That's another MSI contributor, Stepan, who made several pretty decent pull requests to MSI.
Cool. Good to have you. We have a few more people from the Magento side. So we are joined by Laurie. How about you introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Laurie Krell. You may see me over in DevDocs. I work on the documentation side of Magento in DevDocs, as well as the merchant admin guides. I pretty much touch every project, but I am 100% focused on community engineering. And I've been working on all of the documentation you've been seeing in the wiki and in DevDocs.
Cool. Awesome. And if you want anything to do with documentation, Laura is the person to reach out to about this. We're also joined by Mark from is that your kitchen or is that your lounge? I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is my kitchen. I'm based in our office in Austin, and it's oversubscribed right now, so desks are very hard to come by. But I'm the product manager on MSI, so I have kind of a long history on this project. We initially tried to develop this internally for a while before it became a community project. And I know it's great. Igor mentioned all the contributions we've received, and we're very excited for that. This project started out as an experiment, so we didn't know if we'd be able to develop such a large, complex feature with the community. So we're very pleased with the outcome, because it wasn't certain when we first started.
Awesome, cool. And we have one more person who has a Magento email address in the call. It's another Igor. How about you just shortly introduce yourself, because you're fairly new to our team.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. Not a lot of you, some of you probably had a chance to work with me already, but I've just recently joined the Magento engineering community engineering team, and I am coordinating all the separate special little projects and big projects, including MSI. But please don't confuse me with Igor Minyalo here, because he actually does the actual work. I'm just going to be present helping y'all with whatever I can. And Lee on the call there asked, where did my cowboy hat go, which I had on during our weekly. So hold on.
Aha.
There you go. I'm ready now.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So that's enough about the Magento people. Let's move on to the people that do the hard work. So we are joined by a lot of our contributors. Let's start with Vadim. Vadim, let's introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everybody. Yeah, my name is Vadim. I think I was one of the first contributors when MSI was first time given to the community 1.5 years in Leipzig, and I think I'm not the active one, as not the most active one, but still in the topic and still working with MSI. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And then, at least as I look to it, next to him is Ricardo. Ricardo, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, well, yeah, my name is Ricardo Tempesta. I'm CTO at Main Specialist. I'm an MSI contributor. I think my very first contribution of MSI was, well, actually a few months ago. So I'm not in the MSI from the very beginning, but I'm enjoying MSI very much. I think I'm quite an active contributor on MSI.
Cool, nice. Then we have Alexander. Let's find a little bit about you. Oh, we can't hear you, or at least I can.
No.
No, okay. While he works on his microphone, let's move on to Bartek then.
Okay, hi, my name is Bartek. I'm MSI contributor too. And last 3 or 4 months, I worked hard at first live production site with MSI and of course Magento 2.3. And yes, I did it. So yes, I'm very proud of it. Hi, everyone.
Nice. That's super interesting. That's one of the, you're going to show us a little bit more about that specific project in a bit, which is going to be awesome to see some real out in the wild example with MSI. We're also joined by Eva, right?
Hi everyone. I don't contribute to MSI, but we have a project that where we use MSI. So I'd like to share my experience and additional extension of what we did for MSI. So
cool, awesome, great to have you. And Alexander, is your mic working? No, I can't hear. Okay, never mind. So while Alexander works really hard for his microphone to get to work, I'm going to pass it over to Igor and Mark as well to give you a little bit of a general update on MSI, and then after that we will jump into some demos. So over to you, Igor, when you're ready. Or Mark, I'm not sure who started.
So Igor, yeah, if you want to, yeah, Igor in yellow, if you want to start with just an update on release and testing. So we're very close. I bet people would like to know where that stands with MSI.
Okay, so actually good news for us that not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, we packed our final package, which gonna be bundled as a part of Magento 2.3.0. So we already up and running, and that's why today I even closed the milestone 2 in our GitHub. So because we are not accepting any changes, any pull request, even with the bug fixes for milestone 3. So everything we already have gonna be delivered to as a part of Magento 2.3.0. And the good news for us that having the new approach of the references, so Magento will have not a strict reference to MSI modules. So we, as you're aware, regarding the composer, we have the reference with the caret, and actually that means for us that we can have the independent life cycle of MSI releases, and releasing the MSI, we are not affecting the Magento releases. So the main package of Magento should not be recomposed. That actually means that we can keep our temp and release MSI as frequent as we want. And we already planned the milestone 3. And actually, I believe we will present the scope of the milestone 3 closer to the end of the today's stream.
Cool, that's awesome. I like to hear that it's going to be separate, so we're a bit more flexible as well with releases as well. So, Mark, do you have anything that you'd like to add now about an overview or an update?
No, I mean, we will have on this Hangout as well some demos. The great part is we'll have many of the contributors doing the demos, so people will get to see the features. Internally is what people are not aware of. So on the Magento side, we've been demoing MSI to our support team, our sales teams, all our internal teams that will need to be ready for the release. And everybody's very excited about the feature set and the capability within MSI. So it's good both against our competition and for offering value to merchants.
Awesome. Can I ask you what is the most exciting thing that you've seen in the last however long that the MSI has been running?
I think just the most exciting thing is the sheer number of people that have contributed. And like I said at the beginning, we just didn't really know how this would go. I mean, we had an idea when we first started in Leipzig. We had to pitch the product and pitch the project and try and get developers interested in it. So for me, that's the most exciting. It's just that we've had so many people contribute and sustained contribution from people who have been with the project for a long time. I think one thing we've seen is once they get involved and find an area that interests them, that it's something that they can really work on. And that's one of the great part of community engineering projects is devs have the ability to, pick where they're going to contribute on stories and features that either they have a particular skill or they find the most interesting.
Awesome, cool. So I guess what people really want to see is real life working examples, right? And so for that, yes. I think this is a great opportunity and great time to hand over to Bartek and find out about the project that went live this week. Was it Monday?
Last week, yes.
Cool. So the floor is yours. Take it on.
Okay, thank you. So I prepare a quick review and share my screen right now. Okay, so this is how we implemented Magento 2.3 plus MSI and go live. Yes, we are go live about 1 week ago, so it's a working proof that everything is okay. This is the company who accept our solution for their business needs, that we can use MSI in we started with alpha version. Now we are on beta version with Magento and release candidate with MSI. So this is Tolls. Tolls is a famous Spanish jewelry, accessories, and fashion company based in Spain. They have about 600 stores worldwide, but I focus on Poland market and quick numbers. They have 3 websites, Poland, Slovak, and Czech Republic. For now, we have 54 active sources, MSI sources, 3 stocks, of course, representing 3 sales channels, 1 for each website. And we have over 6,500 products, included configurable and bundle products. Yes, bundle products with MSI, yeah. And 120 categories. And what is most important, we have over 1.5 million products quantities during import. So it's a great number. And how it performed with Magento 2.3 and MSI. So this 1.5 million products quantities import takes about 2 hours. So approximately we have 350 quantities per minute using native API. So it's great for our perspective, for our client perspective. It's great. All imports, it's on demand and takes place almost during all day, all weeks. And what is most important with that, it works without front-end performance impact. We have a separate machine that import all over and over and over. We use, of course, my favorite declarative DB schema and async API request. And we take benefits from 2.3 speed improvements. It's we don't have enough time to share with you all the graphs, but it looks very good, really very good. It's fast and it's stable right now. So yeah, and this is for my slides. And for now, maybe we can go to the live. So okay. Yes, this is the live site with live view of product grid with sellable quantity set on every product on this grid. So this is working proof that everyone who participates in contribution, it makes sense, because this is a live site with live chance of every product quantity. And this is a grid, of course. We have 3 aggregates representation of stocks in each country. Of course, I can show you additional columns, quantity per source. And okay, there is it. You can see right now every source is representing every physical warehouse in Poland, in Czech Republic, and in Slovak. So you can see there's a lot of sources and a lot of stocks. You can go to the product details, and I can show you the impression from representing of each quantity in each sources for particular products. So yeah, it works right now. It's live proof that everything will be good. So thank you for attention. If you have questions or regarding our experience, feel free to ask me.
I have a question, Bartek.
Okay.
Do you use our default source selection algorithm, like priority-based, or did you implement something more sophisticated for you?
We have a lot of changes during implement source detection algorithm because our clients needs it's different from default manipulation with calculation. We have to introduce something like we called a main source. It's because our calculation based on main source in particular warehouse, and these algorithms calculate it's not so complicated, but it's very sophisticated because we have to calculate each other sources excluding main warehouse and check that quantity in that sources is greater or equal specific number, and if yes, we can check that this can be it is sellable for clients and can be shown on front end. So we have to change something in that way.
Was it easy for you to implement this new algorithm and incorporate it into Magento with MSI?
Yeah, it was pretty easy because our implementation, our modules in MSI, it's separated to specific models that I don't know how to say it. It was simple because I know where to exactly find this piece of code. This is very intuitive to manipulate with source calculation. So we just change some SQL, and that's all. It works.
Cool. Awesome. I have a question. How much of a benefit do you feel that the contributing to MSI had when it was actually come to implementing a project?
Yes, as I said before, I'm very proud of it, that I can be part of this project and I can contribute to it, and after it I can implement it in on live before official release, and yeah, it's a great feelings about it. One of the reason that we started it's because hey, we have one guy who already contributed, let's try it. So yeah.
That's good. Awesome. I love the fact that it's come from people who were contributing, and then it's gone out, and you have the first official live MSI project.
Yes, of course our client is happy too, so yeah, it's both sides.
That's cool. It's awesome to hear. I love hearing it. It's a good, a nice success story for contribution for this project as well. Awesome.
I have one more question. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So, at which version of Magento you decided to choose Magento 2.3 plus MSI? So I realize your credit of trust to Magento.
Yeah, we started pretty early. We started with 2.3 Alpha 12. Yeah, with MSI installed not from Composer. That it's installed from the Git. So yeah, we have a lot of trouble with that, and I was very happy that this time is when MSI was bundled to 2.3. It's pretty early.
Okay, cool. Is my voice okay now? Yes, better. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for that. And if you have any questions, if you're watching this and you have questions about it, please add them to the chat, and we will make sure we get them to him before the end. But I think it's good to move on to another kind of use case and example. We wanted to talk with Vadim. Vadim's going to share a little bit about how MSI and the B2B world can work together as far as,
Yeah. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about a project we just started with. So it's not finally, so I cannot show you any live presentation. But here some basic components we use in this project is Commerce 2.3 version with B2B, page builder, and of course multi-source inventory. I will just tell you a little bit about the requirements behind this project and the decision for us to choose MSI as a solution for these requirements, which is probably not the first thing you would think this is MSI is the feature for this, but we tried it and it was a good deal so far. So the customer presents us a wireframe which is looking like this. It is some kind of product detail page. It's a B2B page, as I also told. So you can see here there are configurable products, but the customer can buy many kind of these products because yes, some kind of dealers who buying here from the merchant. So and at the first look, it's quite easy just to display the configurable product in another way. We have sizes here and colors on the other side, but the requirement was also that we need to represent a different. The merchant call it availability groups. So as you can see here, the white color is split up into two availability groups. So immediately available and available in a few days. And it can also be quite more. So currently we have 4 availability groups. This would mean, for example, here we have a representation of the same SKU, but it's from different sources available. So one is immediately available and another one just in a few weeks, for example. So the same we have on the cart or checkout part. So we also have here representation of availabilities groups. And when I was shown this mock-ups the first time to our developers, they start to think about how could our solution look like, and there were lots of great ideas and at least a very big estimation. And afterwards, I told them and showed them how MSI works, and this was leading into some kind of very low estimation, at least, because our solution is currently look a little bit like this. So we have different sources. In the real world, the merchant has only one warehouse, but it's split it into different availability groups. So we said we want to represent this availability groups by different sources. There are currently 4 in this drawing, only 3, but does not matter. And we used a native functionality of MSI in order to aggregate some kind of main stock. And also we create stocks which are representing each availability. So in the end, it ends up in aggregated stock of all availabilities. So we can use all the websites, which are up to 90 in this project. They use the main stock, and we can use round about all the default functionality of Magento, like is the product saleable at all, or should I display it on the catalog page, and so on. Works like all the time, because it's enough if this product is available in any of these availability groups. And then we introduce a completely new type of sales channels. So in the MSI scope, probably I need to say website is a sales channel. And this is the default sales channel we have there. And to introduce a new type of sales channel, we called it availability group, because it was the language of the merchant. And we assign 4 availability groups to our 4 availability stocks. For example, in the backend of MSI, if you notice, there is normally just sales channel and websites, and now we have also availability group. That's also a pretty cool experience for us, because I was involved into contributing to MSI, so I know that this pretty cool stuff and easy to extend. And now guys from our team who never worked with MSI did this implementation here, and they were that excited that it was at least only 50% of the estimated time. So pretty cool. So that's it from my side so far. I hope it was clear. Any questions?
Awesome. I love that. I love the fact that before MSI is like actually fully released, that you're already thinking about how to use it in a way that may not have been fully thought about in the implementation point of view, in terms of these aren't physical warehouses, rather than more like availability rather than an actual, so I love that. Thinking outside the box, I guess, is the best way to put it. I have a question more about your own involvement and everything. And you've been heavily involved from the beginning, as far as I remember. What for you? Why did you get involved, and why did you stay involved in MSI?
Cool. I think it was happened by accident, if I can say it so. So it was just part of the hackathon in Leipzig, and then there were some guys like Igor and Max, and they told something about Magento contributing instead of doing some stuff in a hackathon, and I thought sounds interesting, so I joined this group, and then I figured also out that Igor and all the other guys also speaking Russian, which was much easier for us to communicate. So it was also, I think, a good start for me. Yeah, but at least while still in there, because it's a really interesting project, and at least I think Ricardo will tell you a little bit about what is behind this project and what are the big parts there. And I learned that much in so short time, so it's just worth it. So it's learning. I think it's learning. Yeah.
Cool. Have you talked to Igor or Mark about like, as you're developing this project, how involved have like Igor and Mark been in terms of?
Yeah, of course. Since I had the idea to use MSI in order to fulfill this requirement, I just sent Igor some of the screenshots you already saw right now, and told, so my idea is to use sales channels, additional type of sales channels in order to represent this availability groups. And he said that could work, should work. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love seeing like like I said, seeing things used in maybe not the way that was originally thought, but in a completely valid way.
Yeah, probably also another thing of contribution is beside all this learning and doing stuff is also have the connection to all these great architects, and it's also in any project also which is not about MSI. If I have any question, I can ping these guys and they help me. It's great.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions from people in the call to Vadim before we move on?
I just wanted to say one thing. It's interesting. So ideas like what he's described here, it's great as well to get that feedback from the community. So not just code contributions or doc contributions, but we have so many people in the community that are working with merchants on a daily basis, and they're able to give us a real frontline perspective on what the feature set should do. Sales channels is a great example. So right now in core MSI, we have you can use sites as the sales channels, but we do intend in the future to extend that. There could be a lot of other options, whether that's a customer group or something else that could be used as a sales channel, and it would allow you to do things like allocating or reserving inventory for different types of customers. So we have taken feedback like that and not just put it into the current product, but also our, when we're making the roadmap, we consider it as well.
Awesome. I like it. Yeah, I think it's great to have that kind of feedback involved. It's one of the real benefits of being open. You get that feedback, or you can get that feedback a lot easier. Cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Vadim. And yeah, if you have questions for Vadim and you're watching this, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will get them over to him when we can in the Q&A section. Next, if his microphone is working now, let's hope it is. We're going to move over to Alex, who also has an MSI story that we would like to hear. Is it working? Oh. I can't hear you, ma'am. I'm sorry. Okay, you've got a few more minutes. We'll go on to Ivan first, and then we'll make sure we get you working. So, okay, Ivan, before you said you have a MSI project. Is it live or in the process, but you're not actually contributing? So I think that's quite an interesting point of view. So how about you share a little bit about your MSI project and the story as it is. I think you're...
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm here. One moment. So my name is Ivan Datsenko. I'm founder at engcom, and I'd like to share my experience about Magento 2 project with 2,000 sources. So about the project.
Hang on, Ivan, sorry. We're just seeing a black screen at the moment. That screen I can see, but the previous screen I can't. So maybe just leave it on this one rather than project.
No, just one moment. Do you see something now?
Yeah, that I can. Yeah, that I can see.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, why we selected MSI? Because we started development at May 2018, and because the project have a lot of customization, it was first point. So existing solution that we checked was updated it was about 1-3 times per year. So it was July with 2-3 versions of Magento. So we can't use the new the new versions of Magento, and of course because the MSI is a core solution and it developed by by community, and it looks already good when I review it in May. So we started from the composer with MSI, with Magento 2.3 alpha and MSI, and I'd like talk about project numbers. So in the project we have about 32K of products, which connected with about 2,000 of sources or warehouses, and for now we have only one stocks, but it will be more. So about other statistics, we have 10, 25 products per store, and from 1 to 5 sources per product. So it's about MSI part, and after that we have the requirements for project. So we should extend the project. We should edit. We added supplier and quote functionality. And after that, so supplier can manage their stocks by their account that based on the Magento admin add sources, and also we added prices to products. To products per stock, so each not per stock, per source. So from admin account, admin can approve suppliers, import or set auto approve, assign products to supplier, assign sources for suppliers, etc. And now we working on the quote part, which not finished, but will be soon. So after these changes, we will have we had this schema of the project. So we have suppliers, then we have products, and we have sources. So each supplier connected to their products. It can be 10, 20, or more, and each supplier connected to sources. So so each supplier can update their products and their sources. And we added extra functionality, its price. So each source item can contain quantity and price also. So all other stay the same except this part of that was changed. And with this amount of the sources, we just face it with issues that we can't say from admin stock with 2,000 sources in one stock. So that's all other works fine. Also, we didn't finish the shipping and algorithm for selecting the products. So that's so far for about this project that I would like to share.
Cool, awesome. Thank you for that. The thing that stands out for me is that is an incredibly large amount of sources. So I'd be super interested to hear a little more if there was any performance related issues there, how you kind of tackled those if you did, or yeah, that'd be cool to you.
I didn't test it now, but we have a large number of sources, but it's connected to the small numbers of products, and we have small numbers of connection between products and sources. So now it works fine with all data that we imported from preview project. So far it's fine. I can't share now the performance because I didn't test it yet.
Cool. Do we have any other questions from people in the call related to this?
I do. I have a small comment. Ivan, since, again, as David said, you are dealing with quite a lot of stores and sources there. If you have any comments at all or suggestions about how to make the process of managing this, huge amount of sources in MSI better, please come to us. And again, as Mark mentioned previously, we're trying to make this process as open to the community as possible. And all the suggestions, all the useful stuff that we can put in MSI that's generated by the community is always welcome. And we promise every single one will be taken seriously and reviewed according to its merit.
Okay, thank you. I will contact you. Only problem is it's when I try to open the, for example, stock where I assigned about 2,000 sources. It fail or it can't load because because this new listing, or I can't say because the request too large. So that's all I face it for now.
Yeah,
all
definitely.
All other works fine.
Yeah, again, let's talk. Both Igors, myself, and Mr. Mignalo there will be happy to talk more about issues that you've experienced that are specific to the amount of sources that you're dealing with, or the suggestions that you have.
Yeah, also thanks for Igor that he's helping me with the project. I have asked a lot of questions that he answered. Thank you.
Awesome, cool. We have a comment in the chat already, Igor, related to your hat. Someone is a big fan of your hat, so that's cool. Cool. Let's thank you so much, Ivan, for that. It's cool to see again something that's different. So far, each kind of implementation has its own kind of different take on MSI, which is very, very cool to see. The next, if his microphone is working, I hope it's working. Alex.
Check.
Yeah, it's working.
Oh, at last.
Oh,
sorry, guys, something went wrong.
Good to hear you.
Yeah.
So I hear you are part of Amnesty, right?
Yep. I work. I work as a part of a Amnesty team. Let's say, correct. So our guys have contributed to MSI as well, and we are developing a new extension called Advanced MSI. So now I'm going to tell you about this extension, to show some part of it, and to tell you about the future plans regarding this extension. As you know, we have an extension called Multi-Warehouse Inventory. Due to the fact that native Magento was not created to work with multiple warehouses, this extension is complicated. Kind of complicated, and we reached the edge when it is very hard to develop this extension further, to fill it with new features and so on. So for us, MSI now is a great chance to move forward, to create a new extension and fill it with new features and create a big new product. Generally, we want to create a big solution for those who use multi-warehouses. The solution with advanced stock management, with advanced notifications and forecast, with reports, with return management, barcode management, stop pickup as well, and so on. And surely we plan to create a tool for migration from our multi-warehouse inventory extension to new MSI. So now I'll take a few minutes and show you the part of our extension, specifically the minimum delivery cost algorithm. So we have created two new basic algorithms. One that detects the nearest source, and the other that finds a warehouse with all ordered items. So you can make a single shipment. This algorithm helps us to avoid multiple shipments for one order. So we have an option to set the default algorithm. And when you go to shipment creation page here, I'll show you again from an order. The only thing you are to do now is to recheck and to click proceed to shipment button. How it worked? You see that we have ordered 2 items, and only 2 warehouses, New York and Berlin, can ship both items. So that was the first step of our algorithm, combined algorithm. Yeah, I've forgotten to say that we combined all basic algorithms in one combined, and all warehouses go through one step to the second and to the third and so on. So at the first step, our algorithm detected 2 warehouses with all stock, with all items in stock, New York and Berlin. And second step was to find the nearest one. As the shipping address is California, USA, the closest one is New York. Yeah, that happens. So we see that the needed source is already chosen, and the quantity is filled. The only thing I need to do is to click proceed shipment. Hooray, it worked. Yep, that's it. That's it. I'm here again. So what I want to say that if anyone want to discuss some ideas or problems with us or whatever else, feel free to contact us, and we'll really be happy to do it and to create a new product, good one product based on MSI. So thanks for your time. Any questions?
Alex, I have a question to you.
Yep.
As understood, you provide an ability to introduce the criteria which could be applied for this particular algorithm. Is it possible to introduce a custom criteria?
What do you mean by introducing a custom?
Like, for example, here you had several criteria like availability on all sources, and another like a distance-based criteria. And is it possible, for example, for third-party developer to introduce even more criteria to that?
Yeah, sure. For a developer, it's absolutely possible, and as MSI is much more clear in code, yeah, I mean that the code became more understandable, or how to say it, yeah, it became even easier. So Yes, you can easily add a new criteria, a new algorithm, and proceed.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. We will have time for questions, but Mark has to head out in a few minutes. So we'll come back to questions if that's all right. And I'll just want to pass on to Mark at the moment. So we've seen what's possible with the current state of MSI with the different examples, and Mark's going to share a little bit about like the next steps and what's coming on with MSI.
Yeah, great. Thanks, David. So if anybody doesn't already know or is new to the project, so we have everything that we're doing here on the project is managed publicly for everybody to see. So I'll just show you, we have our main repo here, which has, of course, you can download the code anytime you want. You can post issues. So anything that's found, this is where we get bug reports and follow those through to resolution. Pull requests, of course, against the repo. And then we have an extensive wiki here where we document, you can see all these links on the side of what we're working on, how those things work, our documentation, all those things go up here. And then we use a tool called ZenHub to manage development on the project itself, so we can see stories move through the board here from being in a backlog to being worked on and in progress through to review and being deployed. So we just completed or are in the process of completing what we call milestone 2, which will release in the 2.3 release, as you can see here. And we've seen many great features there demoed. So next up for us, we intend to keep going on this, not lose our momentum, but we have lots of great things that we want to keep adding to MSI. So here's just a draft look at what we're considering for milestone 3. First 2 items are just continuing to build out the API functionality for both source item and stock item to make sure those are in line with our technical vision for inventory, Magento modularity, and inventory management. The next one after that is what we call full support of MSI in the B2B edition. So we have a set of B2B features for Magento Commerce, and those have some elements that use inventory. For example, here, the quick order form, which is available in the B2B modules, allows people to enter SKUs or product names, and then on that form, they can get information back. Everything they click there, the quantity that they're trying to order is going to be checked against stock to make sure that, of course, there's sufficient quantity in stock for them to place the order for the number that they want to get. So this is an example of one part of B2B here that needs to be refactored to make sure it's using new MSI methods and APIs to get that inventory availability. And there's actually 2 other areas within B2B that are similar that need to be updated to use the new way of doing things with inventory with MSI. Also similar with that, making sure that we fully support MSI within Elasticsearch adapter in Magento. So very similar to B2B. The next one, which as you can see, our estimate for is extra large, but it's super important. So right now in MSI, we support nearly every single kind of product. So we'd have full support for configurable products, simples, even virtual products. But we don't yet have full MSI support for bundle products. So that's a really important initiative for us in milestone 3. Once this epic is complete, then we will be able to support every product type in Magento, and those will be fully compatible with MSI. The next one is an exciting algorithm. So right now, as you've seen in the demos, we only have the priority-based algorithm that ships in core with MSI. The Amnesty demo showed you what's possible with extensions in the community to add additional algorithms and features to the algorithm. For the core product itself, though, we're looking to implement a minimal delivery cost algorithm, and that is in quotes, because we're actually, the approach we'll use is more of a proxy-based distance algorithm for cost. So we'll maintain a database of distances between pairs of postcodes or zip codes. So we can calculate very rapidly a distance between the source locations and the customer's shipping address without having to make API calls to shipping carriers or other third-party sources that we're reliant on. So it will be performant and also doesn't need to make a call out. And then we will use those distances as a proxy for cost. So we make an assumption that shorter distance is also a lower cost to ship the package. And that will allow us to very quickly deliver those back to the front end. We'll continue to, this stands for Magento Functional Test Framework. So continuing to have as many automated tests as possible as we can on the MSI project. That's not just of benefit to MSI, but also helps with, of course, all the rest of Magento. We'll be able to leverage those tests, making sure that nothing gets broken in MSI from a change anywhere else in the platform. And then the last one on here, but very much not least, it's also high-level estimate at extra large, is having store pickup support. Right now in core MSI, we don't expose any of the inventory for stocks or sources on the front end to the customer by location. So it's not possible for a customer on the front end to see, there's 10 in this warehouse and 25 in second warehouse, etc. Much less make a reservation for inventory from a particular source. So our ambition with the store pickup support is enabling those scenarios. So allowing customers on the front end to view inventory available in sources and actually select the inventory that they would like to reserve when they're making their order for pickup. So as you can imagine, that feature has a lot that's required, both on the front end, on the admin side, and UX, etc., to make it happen. So it's pretty big, but it's also very exciting for merchants to be able to offer that functionality. So that's kind of a summary of what we're doing in milestone 3. Like I said before, we use ZenHub. So here you can see just a burn down of ZenHub obviously hasn't started. But if you go into this screen, you can see all the different stories here as they become updated, more detailed, filled in on them, and we start to working on them. You can follow the status on all of those. And then we do have additional information. For example, I mentioned some of the API work at the beginning. Igor has done a ton of great work to have a lot of detail and background here on what we're trying to accomplish and how that would work. So not just for people that are, want to have a reference on the project, but for new people that join the project, they can come up to speed and understand what we've already done and what is our technical vision for making these changes. So that's really great, and encourage anybody who has questions about this to take a look at this. And of course, you can always ask us questions at any time in Slack or by email as well on what we're going to do in milestone 3.
Awesome. Cool. I appreciate that, Mark. I know you have another call to get to now, so
yeah.
I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions directly for Mark, feel free to reach out to him in Slack or on Twitter or whatever, and try and reach out to him as best as possible. But yeah, I appreciate you joining us for today, and I hope we haven't kept you too late for your other call.
No problem. Thanks everybody for joining. And yeah, as David said, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to get any questions on the project. Thanks.
Cool. Awesome. So since there seems to be a lot of stuff that is coming in or is getting started to work on in the next milestone, I think what might be an interesting topic now to talk about is contribution. So Ricardo is going to share a little bit about his journey with contribution, maybe a few how he got started. So if you're watching this and you think that's a lot of interesting stuff and I want to get started, but I'm not 100% sure how, this is probably the section for you. So Ricardo, why don't you take it away by telling us your contribution story?
Hey, so well, I want to try actually to talk about MSI from my perspective, and of course, when talking about MSI, you have to talk about contribution. I think actually that MSI is it's one of the greatest projects in MSI, in the Magento ecosystem from 2 perspectives. I mean, when you talk about MSI, you can see MSI from the developer's perspective or from the merchant perspective. And it's great from both of them. Because if you see from the developer's perspective, yeah, the feature is great, but when you're a developer, you're more focused on how the code is written, and so on, more than the feature itself. And the good part of MSI is that you can find every new architecture, every cutting-edge technology, and actually is the Magento you would like to work with, honestly, because you can find clean code, you can find modern architectures like DDD, CQRS, and so on. But the good part actually is that when you talk about these new architectures, if you talk with some developers, they will answer you like it's a kind of fashion. You know, I'm using CQRS because it's cool, not because I actually need it. And this is wrong from my perspective. But in MSI is different, because actually was one of the first projects in which I saw CQRS and DDD using because actually they were needed for the project. So it's very uncommon to find a project with this kind of characteristics. And another good part from the developer's perspective is that you can even join other community projects. So for example, I've been involved in one of the features that was basically handling bulk operations in the source system. So basically when you want to transfer, for example, one quantity from one source to another one, and you have a very huge catalog. And I've been involved in developing this feature, and I had the opportunity to work with the asynchronous API system that is coming from another community project. So it's very cool from this perspective. And I think it was a feature that was that Bartek was talking about before, actually. And I also think that it's very good from the developer's perspective when you talk about training, because I see, as Vadim was saying before, I see MSI, contributing MSI as a very good opportunity to learn something. And then, as I told before, you can even see from the merchant perspective, and from that side, you see the feature. And well, of course, there's no need to say that the feature is amazing, but I think the most amazing part is something that is not visible immediately from the merchant perspective. That is the fact that MSI is handling the inventory like you handle in the real life. I want to show you just a couple of slides. Well, I think there are more than a couple, but very few slides. Because I want to show you something about this. So let me share my screen. Can you see it? Tell me, yeah, okay, great. Yep. Vadim is saying yes. So this is just an example, and I think it's one of the most amazing examples because you can see immediately the difference between the old approach of Magento 1 and the new MSI approach. I'm talking about, it's called reservation inside MSI. So, you know, when you have 10 products, okay, this is just an example. You have 10 products in your stock. You receive one, okay, you receive to match one order. And someone is asking for 2 products. So you have an order with 2 products. The old Magento 1 was probably deducting the quantity immediately. And then you had 10 products available in your inventory. But the problem here is that in the real life, you still have 10 products in your inventory. So you don't have 8 products. So it was actually wrong from that perspective. But you can only sell, of course, 8 products because you have a reservation of the products. And then when you ship, you actually have 8 products in your inventory. But the problem is that it can take a quite big amount of time between the order and the shipping. So actually, we have to find a solution, because if you want to model our software looking at reality, we still have 10 products until we ship them. So the solution was based on event sourcing. I will not go too deep in technical aspects, but if you want to see what event sourcing is, it's full of articles in the internet, so feel free to go deeper. But the idea is this one. So we have an initial status in which we have one product that is ABC with quantity 10. This is our initial status. Then we receive one order. Then we do not say we are decreasing the quantity immediately, but we say we are serving 2 products. So as you can see here, we have two different words. We have quantity and availability. Before in Magento, basically you add only quantity at the very end. So here you have quantity and availability, and quantity is 10 because you still have 10 products, and the availability is a kind of dynamic value that is computed taking the actual quantity in your stock minus the reserved quantity. Of course, I'm simplifying. It's not exactly like this, but just to let you understand how it works. Then when you ship, we actually decrease the quantity. So the quantity now is 8 because we moved away products from our stock. And then we create what we call compensation reservation. Of course, otherwise, if we keep this value as before, our availability would be 6, actually. That is wrong, so we create a compensation here. So this is the idea behind. So quantity is quantity, and availability is quantity minus all the reservations. It's very simple, of course, if you see in this way, but it's very powerful because it's just an example. If you want to update your inventory, your online inventory, and you want to update this accordingly to your actual quantity in your inventory, you can directly update the quantity without affecting the availability. This is very important when you have to deal with this kind of projects. And another cool thing is that when you deal with MSI and you deal with the community, you can find even good ideas. And previously, we were talking the MSI guy. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but you were talking about the new system to select the sources. And Mark said before that MSI will provide most likely one of these systems. And I know for sure because I've been involved in creating them. And I want to show you just something. So first of all, well, the source selection algorithm, if you didn't understand what this exactly is, a system allowing you to pick the products from a specific warehouse. So if you have multiple warehouses, you even have to understand what is the source warehouse you have to pick the product from. So the very basic one is the one out of the box with the MSI, the current version of MSI. It's called priority source selection algorithm. That is very simple. So I will take as much as possible products from the first source, then the second source, and so on. So if we have an order of 10 products, for example, we take, and we have an availability of 6 in a first source in priority, we take 6 from that source, then we take all the rest from the other source, and then we fall back until we find all the available products. And I've been working to change this behavior that is very simple, too much simple sometimes, converting to a distance-based shipping system, so source selection system. So basically, we do not work anymore talking about priorities, but we talk about distance, because shipping may cost actually will cost differently depending on the distance. So maybe a good idea could be sorting the sources using distance. And this is a coming feature. I'm still working on that. There is a pull request. It's working. Well, actually almost working, but I think it will be ready quite soon. I don't know when it will be released, actually. And the cool part is that you have 2 ways of computing distance. So you have an offline. Let's go offline. Of course, you cannot say offline when you talk about a website, but it's a kind of offline database you can download from internet, and you have a database of postcodes. And for each postcode, you have a georeference. So basically, we can compute the surface distance between one point and another one. Of course, it's not so accurate because the best one is the street distance, actually. So here you just use the postcode that can be even a quite huge area, and you compute the distance between them. But it's something you can start with. And the postcode database can be retrieved online and download to LocalDB. There is a command line tool that you can use to download your country postcode and so on. But the cool part is actually an integration with Google Map. Because integrating Google Map allows you, for example, to select the source not anymore on the distance between 2 points, but using the street distance, for example, that is much more effective. And you can, for example, switch from distance to journey time, because depending on your service, you can use different approaches. And you can even change your criteria, so it can be car distance or even bike distance. Yes, I know it sounds strange, but it depends on your business, actually. If you have bike delivery, it can be interesting. I have no idea. Google provides it, so we decided to add it. It's very simple. And this is, my perspective of MSI, and I show you what I think is very cool in MSI.
Awesome, cool. That bike distance thing is probably going to be quite useful for the future.
Yeah, I think so.
Knowing where things are going from business point, delivery and stuff like that. That is pretty awesome to hear. Yeah, and I love the fact that you've been involved for quite a while, and you're quite vocal in terms of how positive contribution is. In terms of from a training point of view, from a understanding the decision kind of thing from an architectural point of view. So I'm always good to hear that kind of thing. So I'm happy to see you in the project in 6 months. Cool. All right, then the next step is all about documentation, because if it's not documented, then is it really a feature? So if no one knows about it, does it happen? So we've got Laurie here to talk through kind of the overview of documentation in MSI from a dev docs and also from a merchant document point of view, I believe, as well. So I will pass it over to Laurie now.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. So if you just are joining in a little late, I'm Lori, and I am your community engineering tech writer. I work on everything from dev docs to merchant docs and wikis and everything in between. So MSI has been fantastic to document, not only the Magento team helping out with incredible info, but a massive amount of information coming from all of you in the community as well. I have been focusing on leading the documentation, doing reviews, as well as helping out in dev docs. But Kevin Harper has been the lead on writing that content. We've been working together as we can. And I've been focused more on the user guide, merchant content, as well as the wiki. So I'll show you really quick where you can find everything. And yes, for the first time ever, because of MSI's awesomeness, we do have merchant end user guides, beta version, first time ever for Magento. You will be able to find all of these through the tech resources. So if you have merchants that are interested in MSI, this is a great polished way of showing them what the product does. You can click on any of these 2 3s, and I'll show you where you'll find the content. It's right under catalog, managing inventory, because that's what MSI is all about. You won't find the word MSI easily in here because MSI is replacing or enhancing inventory management. So that's why you might be a little confused going, where's MSI on here? All of this information is not only in this user guide, which is pretty immense. I was talking with Igor earlier. I think we added like 62 topics or touched that many in here. It's unreal. If anyone wants to learn about MSI, these give deeper information into every aspect. It provides definitions, gives really enhanced diagrams, walks you through everything, including every step that would be required for adding sources, managing your products. I tried to put in as much concepts and examples beyond just where do I click. For developer documentation, we do have REST API content, a order tutorial from beginning to end, as well as some introductory info. How to find it. So if you go to DevDocs, you go to the 2.3 beta. You want to make sure you're on 2.3. Up here in functional areas, you'll see inventory management. You dig in here and you're going to find the quick overview. We are trying to keep up-to-date information on what's been deprecated from core and being replaced with from MSI, as well as some quick, deeper info to get you started on the more technical aspects of MSI. And then, of course, you can also, from this overview, if you hit all the way to the bottom, it will give you all the links for the better, juicier content. For example, this is the tutorial. It'll walk you through literally every single step using REST to make your changes with each step will have info that you can verify things either in the code or in the actual admin. So you can also help merchants understand this process. It's also really great for partners and developers. And then the REST tutorials start with managing resources. And we just added this source selection algorithm. So if you wanted to do like these awesome guys have just described, create your own SSAs, you can do that through looking at this information. We are working extremely hard to keep this information up to date on a weekly, if not some days, daily basis so that you guys have the latest. With that in mind, you get more. I know, this is crazy. If you go to the wiki area in MSI, I am working extremely hard to also keep this user guide in here up to date with the develop branch. You heard me right. You will have eternal beta sort of develop in progress content as much as I possibly can provide. So as you submit PRs, I'm reviewing these for UX text, helping out with error messages. Anytime you need that help, I've been providing. I'm working on one for the RIC right now. And this guide will keep you up to date on MSI. It's going to also have all of that in-progress work that will eventually move into the final user guides and the final dev docs. You can also find really quick info on installing and upgrading MSI. Again, this is under the user guide, overview, and click this. It'll give you all the latest. I am endeavoring to keep this updated based on the latest betas, the latest RTMs, and when it goes GA, I'm going to try and always keep these versions up to date so you don't have to hunt to find that kind of info. And also, all of the info that's in that other user guide is in here, a little easier and faster to read, so you can use either way. But this content will eventually include stuff that's in Milestone 3. So bear that in mind. I have little notes at the top that let you know. We also have links to the live user guides, as well as all the DevDocs info all in one place. So no matter where you go, you will find it. That's pretty much everything. If you are ever looking for info or you want some help on writing, or hey, you want to come work with me and contribute some content, I am always in the Slack. You can hit me up in the MSI Slack or directly. I'm also on Twitter. I've worked with quite a few of the developers hand in hand to review some PRs like the READMEs with Vadim. We've been updating some of the READMEs for the modules, anything like that. Just feel free to reach out. And if anyone has questions, happy to answer them.
Actually, I don't have any questions, but I just want to make a statement. So I'm with Magento more than 7 years for now, and I have never seen this experience before when we have like a code and documentation like going like step by step, and sometimes even documentation going before the code. So we have not had any experience like that before when the feature is not yet released, but we already have so well documented on the dev docs. So this is really great. This is awesome. And this is like a real, like it's supposed to be, because like this is the main problem when we have the gap between the documentation and code. And sometimes code goes really fast and documentation don't have time to be updated properly. But here it's totally different story. And thank you very much. You did an awesome job, and I believe so many people already get their hands dirty in different MSI customization because of the feature is so well documented.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm always open to more ideas. Just listening to some of the things everyone here has had to say, I've been taking notes of things I want to add to the docs. And if you ever do check out the wiki, you're going to see commented out stuff already for some milestone 3 docs that I had, because the PRs haven't merged yet. So I'll keep updates in the Slack channel too when docs get updated.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, I am a big fan of making it easy for people to find the information that they need to get started, and this is awesome to see. So yeah, so we have some time now for kind of a Q&A section if we have any. But while we wait for questions, so if you have a question, drop them in the YouTube chat, and we will get them to the team here. But while we wait, I'd love Igor just to say, Igor Milano, that is, just to say a little bit about why he loves MSI, why he loves doing this, and anything else he'd like to say about it. To put you on the spot.
Yeah, so for me, it was like from the beginning, it was a challenge because I led a team of developers internally in Magento, and MSI, actually at that time we called it MNI, so it was a multi-node inventory. After that, we changed the name of the project to multi-location inventory, and actually the MSI is the third name for the project. So we started it 2 times, and actually after some time we have to postpone the project because from one side we didn't have enough resources to proceed with implementation. From another side, we had our design, I would say that it was not good enough to fulfill all the product requirements. So actually, this architectural design was the third one which I created for the project. And for me, initially, it was a pretty big like technical challenge to accomplish and to solve this issue. But after we started to involve the community, actually my vector a little bit changed, because I got quite a lot of friends. I can't even say that they're just contributors, because we have really good relationship. And like all the people on this call, particularly on this call, but actually not limited by contributors on this call. Like I have really warm relationship, and we have like a. It is really interesting when because like from another perspective, I believe we build pure Scrum approach when we have real distributed team and people in a different time zones, and we don't have the precise backlog, but we can we leverage how we can make the most priority tickets to be delivered in time, and the less priority tickets to be delivered with maybe not so urgently, but with some delay. So because initially for me it was totally unclear how we can orchestrate such a big and such a sophisticated project among really distributed team, among the team where none of the developers except me and Valery. I'm not sure whether Valery on the call, because currently he's deeply involved into the GraphQL project. But actually, from the beginning, there were just 2 people, me and Valery, who could commit it for their time. All these people are really busy people. So you see that CTOs, co-founders, Magento e-commerce, head of e-commerce and head of Magentos are on the call. So, you know, like Vadim's title was head of Magento when we met him initially. So really busy people, and you know, they can just commit for particular time they can allocate for MSI development. But along with that, these people are, because they have such a high grades in their grades and the titles in their company, they're very smart. And even so, you get just limited time to conversate and to work with them. They provide just brilliant ideas. So even during this call, I got quite a lot of interesting ideas. For example, like the idea shown by Alex from Amasti, just to make the algorithm like a price rule where all these particular criteria could be added. It's a brilliant idea. Like Vadim, who demonstrated how they decided to introduce custom additional sales channel. So this is always the idea we want to try to pursue it on MSI, that sales channel is another extension point. So this is brilliant how like you are actually the sources of the inspiration for me and actually for the project. So you are ruling the flow, how it's gonna be. So currently, neither me nor Mark actually can't represent the final state of the MSI because you are ruling this process, not we.
That's cool. Yeah, I love it. I love the fact that the people needed it and the people built it, kind of thing, you know. One thing I'd love, Igor, just for you to continue with a little bit would be, if someone's watching this call and they've seen it and they're like, MSI looked cool, contribution looked great, how do I get involved? What would you recommend for them?
First of all, jump into the community Slack. So we have a Slack, and if you are still not in Slack, you can drop an email to the engcom@adobe.com and just ask to be invited to this community Slack. And if you want to be part of the MSI project, just mention that in this email that you want to be joined to the MSI chat, and you will get a particular invitation to the MSI Slack channel. So currently we have about 400 contributors there, and we have the continuous and the constant collaboration between different people. So, and if you have just any question, just drop a message in MSI Slack channel. Like it could be different messages. It could be, I want to customize the algorithm if you're already working with MSI, and somebody will definitely answer that. And or you can ask like, I want to start contributing to MSI. For example, during this week we got 2 new contributors, and one of these contributors, Sergey, actually made a demonstration 2 hours early on our weekly MSI demo meeting. So Sergey made the presentation of his pull request. So don't hesitate, just drop a message, and we will accompany and we will assist you with everything else.
Cool, awesome. I think it's really, really important to reiterate. It's like the team is here to help you out, and that's what they're here for. So feel free to users reach out to us, or maybe not reach out to me, but reach out to Igor, get in the Slack, talk to Laurie if it's docs related. We're here, and we're here to help you. So that is kind of all the topics I think we had for today. As far as I can see, there are no questions that have come into the chat at the moment that haven't already been answered. And since we are a little over the time, I think this is probably a good place to cut it. So I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for joining this call, everyone that's demoed something today. It's really been beneficial, and I think it's great for people to see MSI solutions or options out there in the real world. And I think that was fantastic. So thank you for taking the time for sharing what you are doing with MSI. It is a real benefit for people to see the use cases. Yeah, Laurie, did you want to mention something?
Yes, I do. So if you have not checked this out yet, and this can help for anyone that's new to contributing, if you go to and search for the Magento Dev blog, we keep a weekly contributor look at everything that's happened every single week in every single special project. Each of those projects include links to the GitHub, the Zen Hub, the Slack channel, documentation, and anything else you can think of, including an invite to the community engineering Slack channel if you need it. So highly recommend check those out. I've also been including info on the latest for betas. So go watch.
Awesome. Yeah, great. And yeah, with that information, we also we have a Twitter account, Magento engcom. So we will tweet out about announcements such as these live streams, our blogs, and any new information coming out. So that's probably also a great thing if you're using Twitter. Yeah, other than that, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching, and thank you for taking part, guys, and showing, demoing your stuff to us. We will have our next live stream will be at some point in December. And we will be talking about another project coming up. So that will be in December. So follow Twitter, look at the weekly updates, and we will let you know when more information is ready on that. But yeah, thank you for joining, and have a great Friday. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.